Welcome to the Live Fit podcast with your host, Glenn Johnson. Today you will learn techniques for permanent weight loss and improved overall health.
Yes, it is time once again for the Live Fit podcast. Welcome, I'm your host, Glenn Johnson, and this is episode 24. Today I have an interview with Amit Younger from Pilates On Demand. He is a world-renowned Pilates instructor who created a fantastic website with tons of Pilates videos of various lengths for various levels and several different instructors. So there is literally something for everybody. If you're not currently a fan of Pilates, which I have not been, I highly encourage you to give it a listen. I bet you'll find something in here worth your time. You might even want to try it. If you are currently into Pilates, you will, of course, love this episode as well. Amit has an amazing depth of knowledge. I highly encourage you to keep listening. You won't be sorry. I just released a brand new program based on client feedback. It will help you jumpstart your weight loss goals for the summer. It is called the Live Fit Lean 28-Day Weight Loss Solution. Give it a try at livefitlean.com. All right, without further ado, let's get right on with the show with my interview with Amit Younger of Pilates On Demand. Well, good morning, everybody. I have Amit Younger on the line today, and Amit holds a Pilates teaching certification from the renowned Body Arts and Science International, BASI, as well as Studio Tamar, one of Israel's leading studios. Amit is the sole teacher trainer for BASI in the UK and runs regular teacher training courses, workshops, and master classes all over the UK. Amit has presented classes and workshops in Pilates studios as well as in Pilates conferences in the United States, Japan, Israel, Holland, Greece, Germany, Italy, and the UK, where he lives. Amit's main interest and expertise is working with Pilates teachers to improve their teaching skills and sharpen their methodology and techniques in order to enable them to become better teachers. Holy cow, what a list. Amit, how are you doing this morning?
I'm very well, Glenn. How are you?
I need to stop saying this morning because it's evening for you. What time is it for you?
It is 6 p.m. here in the UK.
Okay, and it's 10 a.m. for me, and you have just had a long day.
Absolutely, yes. Long day in the studio.
Long day in the studio teaching Pilates. So that's why I wanted to bring you on today, because I find a lot of people are really interested in Pilates, and there's many different sort of versions of it, and I wanted to hear from you since you are such an expert in the field. I have a list of several questions, but first maybe you can give a little background of yourself other than what I just said. How did you get into Pilates?
Okay. Well, I used to be a professional dancer, and when I went to dance school in Holland, we were offered Pilates mat work. So maybe that's the first distinction for people who don't really know about Pilates. Pilates can be done on mat work, like yoga, or it can be done in a studio with a specialized equipment. So when I was a dance student in Holland, we were given mat work classes, just as part of the routine classes, and that was my introduction to Pilates. Then I left it for a while. I was a professional dancer, and then a few years later, I just came back to it through friends of mine, colleagues who were dancers as well, and they told me about a lady called Tamar in Israel that had a studio with all the equipment, and I started going there, and that's how it all started.
Now, I've heard about how Pilates started in the first place. I'm not sure I'm familiar enough with all the details to mention it. Can you give me the origin of Pilates?
Okay, there are many different versions of that story because no one actually knows exactly what happened. But basically, like in general terms, the person, Joseph Pilates, a German person who lived since the beginning of the last century until 1964, I'd like to say, or 1967.
Okay.
He followed methods that were developed in Europe and in Germany since he was a child. Anyone who wants to know more about his background can just Google search it and find it very easily. But the short of it is that he started developing his own methods based on other methods that he learned, including yoga and other forms of exercise, at the beginning of the previous century. He started working here in Europe, and then later on he moved to the States, and most of his work was done in the States. He was based in New York. He had an apartment, a studio in New York. He developed specialized equipment. He developed the exercises that we still do today. He worked with many dancers, as well as other athletes. He actually had a keen interest in boxing himself.
Really?
So, yeah. So, today it's known that a lot of women do Pilates, and it's kind of known to a degree to be a feminine thing. But
Right.
actually, Pilates was a very, very masculine thing. But many women were attracted to it. A lot of female dancers who followed Joseph Pilates, and continued the work, and then their students, who were mostly women, basically gave it the name that it's a more feminine thing. But, the origin was in that man who was a boxer, who was very physical, very, very fit, very muscly guy.
Right. Well, I'm glad you said that about the women being interested in it now, because I have to say, thinking back over the last several years, I have not met one man who does Pilates. Maybe here and there takes a class. I've taken a few classes in it, and the classes I've taken have not had any men in there at all. And I think the women take it because they believe anyways, that it gives them long, lean muscles but still keeps their strength.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is that it's absolutely true. Pilates, the whole approach is one that develops a very balanced body. And for the body to be balanced, you need the muscles to have a very good range within them, so you can move your limbs, you can move your spine through a very functional range, meaning, you can basically bend the spine all the way forward, all the way backwards, to the sides, rotate around, twist around, and move your arms and your legs, as far as necessary to do everything that you want. It could be just daily function, and it can be sports activities. It can be something that is more specialized than that. But basically, you want to keep the range of motion as big as you can, but also you want to be as strong as you can. And in order to develop these kind of muscles, you have, specialized exercises and technique. And the result is that the muscles are not bulky. Because when muscles are bulky, that makes them shorter, and that restricts the range of motion. So that's why I think women are more attracted to that. But, very strong men, very athletic men, professional athletes, male professional athletes use Pilates as well. As I think there's more and more NBA, for instance, players who do
Pilates.
No kidding. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of men, there's a lot of athletes who do Pilates, golfers do Pilates.
That makes sense.
Swimmers, yeah, absolutely. So
swimmers, definitely, that makes sense. Now, do you think that a person who just wants to be generally fit, who's not an athlete of any particular sport, but maybe just wants to have fitness and maybe kind of do some things now and then, weekends, and kind of vary their program, do you think somebody would be in good physical fitness if all they did was Pilates, or do you think it needs to be complemented with some other things, weight training or running or something else?
Well, that's a really good question, because Pilates was actually, when you speak to people who have been doing Pilates for many years and who studied from the original students of Joseph Pilates, you will hear very often that the method was created to enable people to do whatever they want and to enable them to do whatever other athletic interests they have, whether it's professional or semi-professional or just, as a hobby, better. So the idea is to help you have a body that is stronger, more balanced, and more able to deal with everything else. Pilates is it's not the goal in and of itself. So the idea is to complement it with anything else that you want to do. but it all depends on what you want to do. Do you see what I mean?
So for general fitness, let's just say a person who just wants to stay lean and keep the excess body fat off and fit and strong and healthy and kind of stay as young as you can, retard aging, would there be anything that would complement it?
Definitely cardiovascular activity will complement that, because within Pilates, you will have to be quite advanced in order to make the work cardiovascular.
Okay.
You can definitely do that, but I have to say that it will never be as cardiovascular as running, swimming, cycling. It's just not in the nature of the work. So you can definitely elevate the heart rate and get, all the effects of cardiovascular activity, but you're not going to maintain it for as long as it is recommended generally for cardiovascular activity. But it will definitely go hand in hand, because any cardiovascular activity, by the nature of the activity, will create imbalances in the body. So then Pilates will address those imbalances and help the person stay more balanced and able to do their cardiovascular activity of choice for longer, and also with less injury, with less strain on the joints, and generally to improve their ability to do that.
Before I continue on with this string of conversation, I wrote down some questions just now, but I wanted to go back to a form of Pilates that I've heard of, and that's Stott Pilates. Can you describe the different types briefly, or what is Stott Pilates?
Stott Pilates. Well, Stott Pilates is not necessarily a type of Pilates. Stott Pilates is a company, and it's a company that creates, manufactures Pilates equipment. Okay, it's
the reformer.
Reformers, Cadillacs, or trap tables. There's something called the Wunda chair. You have barrels, you have high barrels, you have all kinds of equipment. And Stott is one of the major manufacturers. They're based in Canada.
I did not realize that.
Say it again?
I did not realize that Stott was a brand of equipment. I thought it was a form of Pilates that uses equipment. Now, does Joseph Pilates, or did he believe in using equipment, or is he?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, by far most of the equipment you will see today in Pilates studios was created by Joseph Pilates. So Stott and other companies such as Balanced Body, Peak Pilates, and all the rest of them, they manufacture the same equipment that was designed by Joseph Pilates, and they just do it in different ways. So I can say that, to my understanding, Stott makes the equipment a little bit different to the way it was designed by Joseph Pilates. There are other companies such as Graz, let's say, possibly Peak Pilates, who try to manufacture it exactly, or as exact as they can, to the dimensions and the standards that were created by Joseph Pilates. And there are other companies that say, okay, that's what he did, but we can move on from that and do things that will be more appropriate for this type of population or that type of population. We can add things to that will make it better to how we understand rehabilitation can take place, or fitness activities. We can make it bigger for, NBA players. We can make it wider. We can change things. And Stott, to my understanding, they actually change things more and more and more in order to add things on top of that, to add more repertoire, to add other types of exercises that can be done on the same equipment, so that it's, it applies to basically, more needs or more wants, basically. People want to be able to do Pilates in this way, in that way, to make it more cardiovascular, for instance. So you can add something called a jump board. Not only Stott, many companies do that, and then you can use the reformer and to jump. You jump basically horizontally instead of vertically, but that can make it cardiovascular.
Now, you have a studio where you teach in person. Is there one or do you have multiple?
No, I have one studio here in London that belongs to me and to my colleague Nicole Cornfield, and we run it together.
And you also have a really nice website called PilatesOD.com. Pilates On Demand is the name of your company. And you have a plethora of videos. I can't even count how many you have. And while you were speaking about props, I was looking at the props that you show here, and I believe I know the answer already, but I didn't see a reformer on there or some of the bigger pieces of equipment, but I believe that's because these videos are intended for people at home to follow along, and most people aren't going to buy a reformer and have it in their house because they are pretty large. So I see things like elastic bands, a fitness ball, foam roller, hand weights, the magic circle, things like that, and some yoga small pieces of equipment as well. Am I correct?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. So Pilates On Demand was created with the home user in mind. So everything about the site, from the way we film to the way we edit the classes, the props, the way we teach on the website, everything is designed to help the person at home. Just anyone at home who's got a little bit of space around them. They can put a mattress on the floor, like exercise mattress. They can buy small props, like you said, the elastic bands, the weights, etc., and they can follow the videos from home without the need in expensive equipment, without the need for too much space, without anything special. All you need is to be able to streamline the videos to your computer, to your laptop, to your anything, handheld equipment, and just follow the classes, basically.
Are these videos appropriate for beginners, or do they need to have some experience in a classroom with a physical teacher before they start doing these videos?
The videos that we created are appropriate to anyone from beginner to advanced level who is not injured and doesn't have any specific need. So anyone, no matter what your age is, what your level of ability is, men, women, anyone who's interested in Pilates can follow the website. We start at a pre-Pilates level, meaning exercises that will prepare you for Pilates classes. We then have a course that will take you step by step through understanding how the classes work. We have a library of videos, so if you take a class and you struggle with a specific exercise, you can then go to that library and there's going to be a few-minute clip explaining more specifically about that exercise, and you just follow that. If people are injured and they need to see a physiotherapist or a doctor or anything such as that, they would need to do that first. And when their doctor, physiotherapist tells them, right, now you can go and exercise, you don't have to worry about the rehabilitation side anymore, then they can start, following the website.
I see. Now, for a person like me, I'm pretty fit. I do a variety of things. My focus is on cycling, so I would, of course, want things to any kind of style of Pilates to improve my cycling, but also general fitness. So if you had a person who doesn't know Pilates, but yet is pretty fit, which video would you, or which level would you recommend they use? Yeah, let's just say which level. Forget about the cycling for now. Which level would you suggest they start with?
Okay, the thing with Pilates, and it's a really, really good question, because fit people tend to think that they can just jump into the advanced level because they're fit enough to do it. Well, it's true, they're fit enough to do it, but Pilates, I always compare it to learning a language. So when you learn a language, you have to start from basics. And when you learn a language, and everyone knows that, if you repeat it and, you take a number of classes per week and you repeat it again and again and again, you're going to learn very quickly. You will learn the vocabulary, you will be more familiar with how to do things, and things will start feeling more natural to you. And then you will progress quickly. But anyone needs to start from the beginning.
So the complete beginner.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend that. Now, if someone is very used to exercising, to following instructions, to learning different methods, they will learn quickly. So they may have to follow. In our beginner's course, we have 6 classes, and I always recommend to repeat each one of them a number of times until you feel that everything is very clear to you and you can move on. So if someone's, fit enough, flexible enough, and has a good ear and a good kind of perception of their body, then they can do each class a couple of times and, every week move on to the next class. And very quickly, within 2 or 3 months, they can progress on to the basic level, intermediate level, etc., etc. But you have to take the steps. You don't want to jump the steps. It's pointless to jump the steps, because then you're going to be following classes that you're possibly fit enough to do, but without the understanding of how to do the exercises. And it's just a shame, because I think also people will get bored of doing that. And the idea with Pilates is that it's always there to support you. Like you said, your interest is in cycling, but cycling will create imbalances in your body. Certain muscles are going to get stronger, other muscles are going to get more strained, certain joints are going to start being more used than others. So then Pilates, if you do a couple of classes per week, it will help you rebalance that. It will also help your cycling improve. But if you're going to jump right into the advanced level, with the idea that if you can achieve that, then you're good enough, in inverted commas. You're good enough to do that, you can move on from that. Pilates doesn't work this way. It's not about being good enough in doing that. It's not about ticking boxes or achieving anything. The goal is to improve your health.
It's about starting with the foundation and building on that, correct?
Exactly, because your goal is to learn a method that can be there for you for the rest of your life to help you deal with anything that you want to. Today it's cycling, tomorrow it's swimming, then it's just going to be later on, it might be golf, or it may be just, getting old gracefully. So it's a method that can be there for you for years and decades to come. So the goal is not to achieve anything. The goal is to learn the method, do it as best as possible, and let it help you achieve whatever you want to achieve. And that's why
that sounds a lot. That sounds a lot like meditation.
In a way, it's like meditation. It would be similar to yoga. I don't know if you've heard about Feldenkrais method, Alexander method, all these methods that are mind-body methods. That is a method. It's not just. And I don't mean to put anything down, but I guess there's technique to everything that you do, but not everything that you do is a method. Not in everything that you do there's a learning process. In Pilates, there's a long learning process, and the learning happens through repetition of the same thing with different variations, but basically it's the same themes that repeat themselves over and over and over again in many different ways, and this enables your body and enables your brain to create positive, balanced patterns of movement in your body. Does it make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And, I think I definitely approached it wrong. As you know, you gave me access to your website to view any of the videos, and I kind of just bounced around and looked at the different levels, the different props, the different teachers, and I didn't really start with the intent of training Pilates for myself. I've taken, like I said, several Pilates classes and never really got into it. But I do like what you're saying, and I'm going to watch all of the beginning or the complete beginner levels myself. So what would you suggest I do after I have established the foundation, after I've done all the beginners? Would there be one particular video or a couple of them that would really benefit me for competitive cycling?
No, I wouldn't say that. I think once you've done all the complete beginner videos and you feel that you got the hang of the method, you just move on to the basic level classes. And I think the best thing to do then is to take different classes with different teachers, because I think finding the teacher that talks to you is the most important thing. You know, we have different teachers that offer different aspects of the method. Some of them are following what we call more classical method. That means that they will present the exercises more in the way that they understand Joseph Pilates did that, and others that are more contemporary, so they will allow for more changes of the exercises. And every teacher will have their own style. And I think for longevity, you know, for you to get interested in the method and to want to follow the classes for longer, you need to find a teacher that works for you. And, you know, we get a lot of feedback from our members, and it's quite interesting to see how different people will make completely different comments on exactly the same videos. You know, we offer programs as well, and it was really interesting. Just last week, we got 2 emails from 2 different people, and one of them said, I thought that class X was exactly what I needed on week 5 on the program. It fitted so well into my program, and I felt great. And another person on the same week made exactly the opposite comment. He said, you know, I thought that the class did not have enough repetitions within it. I didn't feel that it was following on from other classes. And it's just because they come from different places. They probably have approached it differently. They enjoy different things about the method. And so that's why we offer a variety of teachers. So once you've completed the beginner's course, it would then be probably good to take different classes with different teachers and just see what hooks you more into it. And whoever hooks you more into it, just keep following their classes and keep trying. You know, there's always going to be new teachers. Just keep trying other things and see what works for you. You know, who talks to you, who makes you understand it better, who makes you work harder on your body.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, because as we both know that people are different, and you can have 2 instructors that are equally knowledgeable, trained, equal experience, and they're going to teach their students a little bit differently. Now, I mentioned that I've taken Pilates before. I've taken 5 classes, and the first 4 I absolutely hated. I hated them. I felt it was a huge waste of time, and I was even bitter afterwards, because I felt, well, there's an hour of my life I'll never get back again. The last one I liked pretty much. Maybe it was the difference with the instructor or the things we did. I do think the first 4 I took were a little bit too easy. Now, contrast that with the fact that I love yoga, and I've been practicing yoga on and off for about 16, 17 years now. What would you say is really the main difference between Pilates and yoga, and why would I like one and so far not the other? And keep in mind, I haven't followed very many of your videos all the way through, so I'm not passing judgment on your videos, just what I have experienced so far.
Oh, I don't say that's judgment at all. But you know what? I have a question back to you. Can you tell me what you think you didn't like about those Pilates classes you took, apart from the fact they were too easy?
It was too easy. It wasn't a challenge. It was boring. I didn't feel like any of my muscles were really worked enough to justify that time. It seemed more like I could have just laid on the floor watching TV and moved around a little bit.
Yeah, fair enough. So
I know that sounds very insulting, but that's
no.
You
know what? It's really not insulting at all. And like I said, you know, other people would absolutely love those classes, you know, because in their heads, they think, right, I'm doing something for my body, and probably they are, you know, but really they don't want to sweat, they don't want to work hard, so it's a balance that works for them, you know. But my guess would be then that the type of yoga that you take would be very physical. It would be something that is demanding. And of course, I'm sure you know that there are different types of yoga, and there are yoga classes where they spend a lot of time meditating, working on different breathing techniques, and you might find that a waste of your time because I get the impression that you're a very physical person and you like to feel what you're doing in your muscles. You like the effort.
I do. But I also do like meditation. I've practiced it from time to time. I've never felt like I've really been quote unquote successful at it. But when we do it in yoga, especially after performing some strenuous yoga for 40 minutes and then spend the last part in some relaxation, deep breathing, meditation, I do enjoy that. Yeah. But I think I just need to have that physical exertion. I need to break a sweat in yoga, or else I don't feel it was valuable.
Absolutely. I absolutely hear you. And I think, I wouldn't like to just compare Pilates to yoga, because I think it's a bit, I don't want to simplify things. But I can tell you that Pilates was not created to be a meditation class. It was created to be a very, very physical class. A class that is going to challenge you, that is going to make you work hard, it's going to make you sweat, it's going to make your muscles work, possibly ache in a positive way the next day, until you build enough strength and stamina and flexibility to be able to do that at a certain level that benefits you. So this was definitely the intention. And what happened was that I think today people use the word Pilates, because Pilates became so popular. People use the word Pilates to sell all kinds of classes. Now, I don't want to underestimate anything, because any class that brings people in to do something that is positive for their body and for their mind is a positive thing. But I would definitely say that if anyone goes to a Pilates class and they feel that they haven't moved enough, they didn't break sweat, they didn't make any effort, and they want to, they should go and find another class. Now, part of the reason why we created Pilates On Demand is because we know that there are many kinds of Pilates teachers and many kinds of Pilates techniques, let's call it. And when you don't live in a big enough city or in a big enough place, very often you will go to your local gym, your local health club. You will find, a couple of teachers that work locally that might have trained in all kinds of ways, and that what they offer you is not what you want. But there's nowhere else around where you can do other forms of Pilates. And that's why we created Pilates On Demand, so that you can just, become a member, download, or not download, but stream classes that would work for you, with a teacher that works for you and that offers something that you want, and you can just do it from home.
Let's take a quick break. If you're over 40, you know how hard it is to stay fit and healthy. Everything seems to be against you. Work, kids, time, energy. Believe me, I know. But it doesn't have to be a brain drain. If you're sick up and fed of hating the way you look and feel, if you're confused and overwhelmed about how to eat and what to do, and if you are really ready to make that change to become a fit and healthy person that your kids can look up to, then Live Fit is for you. In just 9 weeks, I can help you become the fit, healthy, and free person you deserve to be. Visit livefitonline.net. And we're back.
I can tell you that no matter where you go, it is going to be cheaper than going to another class. Now, I'm not saying that to convince people to drop their teachers, because if you have a good teacher and you're happy, keep going to your classes. Work with if there's a teacher that you like, that gives you what you need, what you want, and you trust them to be a good teacher, keep going to that teacher. But if you want to complement it, without too much expense, if you want to complement those classes with a teacher, with home practice, or if you cannot find a teacher that works for you, then I would definitely recommend to try Pilates On Demand.
And what I noticed is you do have a free trial for 2 weeks, and even the price, and I'm not familiar how this translates to American dollars, but it looks like it's pretty darn inexpensive.
Absolutely.
Can you translate it?
Yeah, the price would be about, it's about 13 British pounds, so that would be about $18 or $19 per month, for membership. And for those $18 or $19, you can do as many classes as you want. There is no limitation whatsoever. If you're hooked and you want to sign up for longer, you can make sign up for a membership for 6 months or even a year, and then it becomes even cheaper.
Well, that sounds like an incredible deal, Amit. And what I like about it is that not only can you do it at home, but you can do it at any time of day. If you work a night shift and you sleep during the day and can't make it to a standard class, or like you said, if you're in a fairly remote area and there aren't classes close enough to realistically travel to on a regular basis, I think it's fantastic. And another thing I want to mention is these videos are beautiful. They're very professionally shot, lit, and produced.
Thank you very much.
I feel like I'm watching, some really serious quality here. Plus, you can really see the professionalism in all the instructors, yourself included.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. And I want to say two things. One, all of our teachers are extremely qualified. Most of them, by far most of them, are teachers of teachers in Pilates. They represent different ways of approaching the work, but they're all, they've all been teaching for many years. They all train other teachers. They all give workshops around the world. So they're all really, really good teachers. I wouldn't take anyone who's not really, who can represent what they do in the best way possible. And the other thing, just back to what you said a minute ago, is that what we found is that people actually, when they do it from home and they want to do it at the time that works for them, they also want to be able to do shorter classes, because you know how it is when you think, oh, I want to exercise, but I don't have an hour for that. I don't have 45 minutes. I have 20 minutes. I have 30 minutes, and I want to, make the best out of the time that I have. And so actually we create more and more such short classes that will condense the workout into 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And so that, when you sign up and you think, this is my goal, I want to do 2-3 classes a week, but I can only do 20 or 30 minutes, you can put it in your diary. You can say, right, I'm going to do it Monday morning, Wednesday evening, and on Saturday, first thing in the morning, but I'm only going to dedicate 20 or 30 minutes, and I'm going to make a commitment to that. And so we have classes that would suit that. You can do the short classes, and so you're not feeling that you want to, but you cannot do an hour. You feel that.
I see one here for 10 minutes. I think that's great. If I have a little bit of time before work, I could just do a quick little 10-minute Pilates workout and kind of freshen up and wake up and get the metabolism going for the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know how it is. And anyone who exercises knows how these things work. If you're going to wake up in the morning and you're going to do a 10-minute class, it's going to wake you up. You're going to feel more alive. You're going to want to then eat something a little bit more healthy. You're going to be a little bit more active. On your way to work, you may want to, jump off the bus a little bit, earlier and walk to work. It just starts you off in a good way. Or at the end of a very long day in the office, if you're going to take 10 or 20 minutes class and just relax with that and take a shower and eat something and go to bed, you will have less tension in your body. So you're going to be sleeping better. You're going to wake up the next morning with more energy. So it really helps you balance your life, and energize yourself, but also help you have less tension in your body and feel better overall.
Now, I think I know the answer to this one as well, but is there anybody that Pilates is not appropriate for? Is there anybody of any sort of class of or fitness level that Pilates should not be performed or should not perform Pilates other than injuries?
Not at all, but also, with injuries, I just want to make it really clear. It's not that injured people cannot do Pilates, but I will not recommend Pilates On Demand, which is not supervised for injured people. I work in the studio, and many Pilates teachers work in their studios with injured people. But when you do that, you will take advice, or at least you will speak to their doctor, to their, the consultant that operated on them, to the physiotherapist who works with them, and you will work as a team. You will work to complement. So, for instance, I work with someone, I've been working with her for many years now, and she fell and she broke a bone in her foot. So she has a boot. She's not allowed to drive. She's not allowed to walk, but she can come to the studio and she can work on the rest of her body so that it doesn't get tight, it doesn't get kind of crippled around the injury, and she can stay fit without straining the foot.
That's great. I'm glad you said that, because I've met so many people who get an injury on, let's say, the foot, and then they stop exercising altogether. In fact, I used to know a personal trainer who broke her leg, and she's a personal trainer, a professional. She teaches people every single day how to exercise. And would you believe she stopped doing everything?
Yeah,
everything.
But
she
how
gained
it is.
weight.
There's the psychological aspect of
True.
exercise. It's so important. And when something discourages you, when you have an injury, when you're so used to moving, and especially when you're a teacher or a personal trainer, and you trust your body to be there for you every day from morning to evening, then you break a bone and you suddenly cannot move. You can get so discouraged and the whole cycle breaks. And that's where Pilates actually fits in so well, because you should never stop. I mean, of course, when you have an operation, you need a few weeks of rest. But as soon as you're allowed to exercise for all the other reasons in terms of your medications and the initial healing of the wound or the broken bone or whatever it will be after you've given birth, for instance, as soon as you are allowed to exercise, you can start Pilates on a level that is appropriate to you and restart that very positive cycle that is psychological and physical at the same time, that will encourage you to get better and better and better and better. But like I said, I would not recommend Pilates on demand to the injured person. Definitely to the postnatal woman. As long as the doctor says, yeah, everything's fine, no problems, nothing, special has happened, then definitely they can use Pilates on demand. But if you're injured and you're being seen by a physiotherapist, you should ask them, is that okay that I can start Pilates on my own? And as soon as they're happy for you to do that, then it's fine. But otherwise, you should be working with someone who can see you, correct you, and give you the attention that you need.
Sure. And, you segued into what I wanted to ask you next about pregnant women. Should they do it while pregnant, after pregnancy? Is there any, I imagine there are some special techniques. I see you have some videos here about that. Is there anything that you can say to the listeners right now, just offhand, that would be useful? Yeah,
absolutely. I would say that any pregnant woman who has a healthy pregnancy, meaning there is nothing that warrants that she should not exercise, and if there is something of that sort, her doctor will let her know. Her doctor will make it very clear, and if they don't, then the woman should ask. Make sure that you're allowed to exercise. As long as you're allowed to exercise, Pilates is perfect for you. Pilates is you will not be doing what we call the classical exercises for very long, but we will be using the method, the ideas of the method, and the elements that are most fundamental for the method, about posture, about how you carry yourself, about how you balance your bodies to help pregnant women throughout the pregnancy. So, for instance, one of the major things that changed throughout pregnancy is posture.
I was going to say, you probably have a lot of back exercises included and not very many abdominal front exercises.
Well, actually, when you're pregnant, you need to do abdominal exercises, but not the general type crunches. Good strength of the abdominals is extremely important for how a woman carries her pregnancy, carries her posture, and also how the child, the baby, the embryo is positioned within the body, and how that position facilitates the birth. So actually, abdominal strength is very important, but the abdominal exercises that we are going to do are more, to give you an image, it's more the idea of bracing, like a corset, more than crunching.
So probably a lot of pelvic exercises.
Yeah, pelvic mobility exercises are extremely important, abdominal exercises, upper body exercises, because, you know, when you're pregnant, you start getting more round in the shoulders, more bent over forward. And then after pregnancy, when you have a child and you care for a child, you do the same. You know, breastfeeding is the same. You bend forward, you are rounded, you're holding something in your hands for so long. So strengthening the upper back, the arms, the shoulders is very important. So there's a unique focus within those pregnancy classes that we have. We have second trimester, third trimester classes, and then classes when women come back after 6 weeks. As soon as they're allowed to exercise, there are specific classes and exercises to help the healing process, and then classes that progress them from 12 weeks after they've given birth back into just normal routine.
So how soon do you think, under ideal situations, should a woman begin Pilates after childbirth? Let's say a cesarean section. How soon could they start doing Pilates? Like I said, under normal.
Yeah, under normal, and it's not up to me to say, but the general guidelines are 6 weeks.
Okay.
So whether it's a C-section, cesarean, or just normal delivery, usually after 6 weeks there's a checkup, and the doctors would say, you know, whether you're allowed to resume exercise or not.
I see.
That's
both.
Normally, yes, 6 weeks.
C-section and natural is about the same.
Normally the guidelines are quite similar, because if you've given birth naturally, there's a certain healing that needs to take place that relates to the fact that your pelvis has opened in order to allow the passage of the baby, and then it's closed again, and your pelvic floor muscles have stretched a lot, and even your tailbone has moved away in order to come back. So there's a big kind of physical change that happens when a woman gives birth naturally that will not take place when you have a cesarean section. But when you have a cesarean section, obviously there's a big scar. It's a major operation, and most operations the guidelines will be 6 weeks.
Okay, I see. That makes a lot of sense. Well, Amit, I have truly been enlightened to Pilates. I have a newfound interest, and I am going to take your classes seriously and follow several classes, and maybe 10 or 12 classes before I decide to form an opinion. Like I said, I wasn't too Pilates wasn't for me in the past, but I am going to give this another effort because like I said, I really like the videos I saw. I like what you have to say, and I think it will help my cycling, and it'll certainly help my general fitness. So I really thank you for approaching me with this, for sharing your information with me and with the rest of my listeners.
Well, thank you very much, Glenn, and I hope that your listeners will take your advice, because if you tried Pilates before and you didn't like it, I would really recommend to give it another go and to try and find a teacher that works for you, that will give you what you're looking for, so that it can really help you for many years. I mean, my clients stay with me for years. I've had clients who, right from the beginning, and they just stay with me, they move studios with me, and they just let it help them for many, many years. And I think it's a wonderful method that can help people achieve what they want: health, fitness, anything that they want, just like I said before, just to grow old gracefully with beautiful posture and strength and balance in their body. And I hope that, the website will catch you and that it will really help you for a long time.
And to bring an example to what you just said about growing old gracefully, I work at a private health club, and there are some, I would say, older women, 60 plus, that are in phenomenal condition, and they take Pilates quite frequently, certainly every week, sometimes several times a week, and they have great posture, they look young, they're spry, they're nimble, they move around, they smile, and I think it's a tremendous example of what a person can do if they continue to stick with some sort of exercise at least. But I think I would recommend Pilates above all others at this point, and some sort of cardio.
Absolutely. That's a wonderful example, and thank you very much for bringing it up.
My pleasure. So once again, Amit, thank you for talking with me. If anybody wants to find your website, it's Pilates OD, as short for On Demand, pilatesod.com. I will have a complete list of your links and some other information about this podcast on the show notes at livefitonline.net. And do you have any parting words for us, Amit?
No, just thank you very much. And just to say, if any of the listeners wants to get in touch with me, they can do that through the website. If they have any questions, I'm always happy to answer questions, email back to people. So if they have any doubt, like you said, they can sign up for 14 days, completely free trial, and they can send me an email, ask any question, and I'm always happy to have a conversation.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much, Amit.
All right.
Have a good day, have a good night, and get some rest.
Okay, thank you.
Well, that's it for the show. Thanks for listening. Please keep those reviews coming in iTunes and Stitcher Radio. You can subscribe, read the show notes, articles, and all about my weight loss programs at livefitlean.com. Once again, thanks for listening, and always remember to live fit.